guys, welcome to a new video on my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new. This is a bit of a different video for me today. I'm actually doing a build video for the very first time. Actually, this is the very first time I'm posting a build video. I've done videos before, but I always just delete them because I don't think they're good enough. I'm not really much of a builder, at least I don't consider myself. I just don't have really the skills that I think a Sims 4 builder would have. But yeah, I decided to film this one today because honestly I just wanted an excuse to talk about my save file and the veronaville families, specifically the capps. So yeah, if you are familiar with veronaville, maybe you've watched some of my other videos talking about veronaville. They are Sims 2 pre-made family that I am creating in the Sims 4. But before we get into all that, I want to mention some mistakes that I did on this video because, well, as I've said, it is my first time doing a build video, so I wasn't like super sure on everything. One thing is that I use G-Shade like very heavily in my game, and right now I'm not using it because I forgot to turn it on. But you will also notice during this video that my G-Shade kind of changes a lot throughout this video. I am having a G-Shade crisis, you guys, but that's not all that important for the build. Another thing is that I did have to cut out a lot of this video because I am a very slow builder. Like, it can take me a whole month to finish one house because I want to try everything to see what works better, and I don't really know in my mind what works better unless I see it. So it does take me a long time. Like right now you can see that I'm picking wallpaper for like a really long time, and then I'm gonna choose one wallpaper which is not the wallpaper I ended up with at the end. So yeah, very slow builder. So I did have to kind of pick and choose what I wanted to show. I think the final recording had like over 5 hours, so yeah, a lot of stuff got cut out. If you want to see the whole thing kind of done, I'm gonna do a little bit of a tour at the end. Not a full-on tour, but just some clips of the build and how it works with the Sims and everything. So yeah, if you want to just skip my talking and go to that, I don't really mind. I'm not gonna be upset. Of course, I would be happier if you were to listen to me yap. But yeah, if you want to see how the building ended up in the end, I did change a lot of stuff because I actually play tested this a lot, and a few things didn't really work out the way I wanted them to because of how the gameplay works. So yeah, I did make some changes to kind of enhance the gameplay as well. So yeah, I'm gonna show a little clip in the end of how the building works. But basically this is an office building. I just turned on my G-Shade after I don't know how many minutes, but yeah. So this is an office building, and the reason I'm doing this building and I wanted to post it a little bit is because the Capp family in The Sims 2 is known to have a big family business. They don't really specify what kind of business it is, but I just always imagine them working in a big like building. I had this idea of a big industrial building, like maybe renovated. So that's kind of what I'm doing. I was inspired by a picture that I found on Pinterest. I'm gonna put a picture of it on the screen, but it didn't really end up looking exactly like it. I mean, I knew I wasn't going to be able to do exactly that building, so I just took the heavy inspiration from it, this idea of kind of a glass cube kind of, and then I made it a little bit more industrial. I did change this wallpaper that was kind of this metal gray to a concrete looking wallpaper, so it does look a little bit more like maybe an old factory that they bought and turned into their office building. So yeah, that's kind of the inspiration that I had for it. And this part that I'm doing right now is actually two stores that I'm not really sure how I'm gonna use yet. So in the picture on the first floor, they had these two glass cubes again. Well, not cubes because they're not squares, they are rectangles. But yeah, they had this kind of two little glass spaces separated, and they were, I'm pretty sure, a Gucci store in the photo. So I kind of made a placeholder store and a coffee shop in the other side, just so while I don't really know what to do with them, just to kind of fill up this space. So that's why I didn't really show the decorating in the first floor, because I don't even know if I'm gonna have that in the end. So it's just placeholder until I decide what I want to do there in the gameplay. But yeah, right now I'm just doing kind of the finishing touches outside. I actually did change a lot, I think, on the outside. Well, not a lot, but I did some more stuff in the end. I do think I changed a lot off camera, just because again, I am someone who I can never be finished with a build. Every time I come back to it, I want to change something. So yeah, I usually don't go back to my old builds because it just stresses me out. But this one I am gonna go back to a lot because I do plan on playing on it a lot. I do use a mod that makes the careers be active. I don't know why I said that so strangely, but yeah, I have an active careers mod, which is that really old mod actually called turbo careers, which doesn't really work that well for me right now, if I'm gonna be honest. It is an old mod, but it actually works enough for me to have, you know, my sims go to work, so that's good enough for me. I can let my creativity do the rest. So yeah, I am actually gonna go into work in this building, but you could also use this building just for storytelling, or maybe having like a custom venue or a small business, even though this is not a small business, it's a pretty big building. Yeah, I think there's a lot of ways that you could use this building. I'm actually not sure if I'm gonna put it on the gallery or not. I would love to hear you in the comments if you want it. If anyone wants it, if one person says they want it, I am gonna put it up. But I'm not sure, just because it is very heavily CC-fied. I guess there's a lot of CC. And of course, if I put it up, I am gonna provide the CC that I used here, of course. But yeah, I'm just not sure if anyone else would have any use to it. Which is funny that I say that, because I've been looking for office buildings for so long. That's why I decided to make this one. I actually got one office building by Raya, who's an incredible builder. If you guys don't know her, definitely look up Raya on YouTube and download her builds. If you do like to use CC, she does use CC in all of her builds. But yeah, I actually got an office building. I think it's the Nova office or something. And it was a really good building. I was gonna use that for the Cap family, but I just thought it looked really nice. And I kind of see the Caps kind of villainous in my mind, which is why I did the aesthetic choices that I did for this building. You're gonna notice very soon that it's all gray, white, and black. It's all in kind of this grayscale. There's almost no color in this office at all, which is not really my style. I do love color when it comes to decoration, but in this building I just felt like they would have the most clinical looking building. Like everything is white and black and gray and almost no color. That's kind of the vibe that the Cap family business gives me. There's not a lot of heart to it, I guess, not a lot of warmth when you are this kind of really old rich family who owns the whole town, right? And I was also very inspired by Succession, the TV show. I don't know if everyone listening has watched it. I am still on season 3, so no spoilers please. But yeah, I think the reason that I'm so inspired to play with the Caps lately is because I've been watching that, and I think the Caps are very Roy coded, like very. Some of the storylines that I had planned before watching the show kind of match some of the storylines in the show, which was kind of shocking. Not to a T, but like some of the characters that I had in mind just are so similar to how the Roys behave. in that show. So I was really inspired by watching Succession and seeing their building, which is why again I decided not to use Rhea's building for them, just because I felt like they would have this kind of more corporate, huge space, which they definitely don't need this much of space considering that they don't have that many employees. I might add some more Sims just to kind of fill it up because it did end up being quite a big building. But yeah, anyways, right now I'm doing kind of this, would you call it a foyer? Lobby, right? It's a company lobby, I think. When it's a company, it's a lobby. When it's a house, it's a foyer. I don't know if I'm right, but yeah, I think I do change. I think the only thing that I change right now is the carpet, but it is looking pretty much like it ended up looking in the end. I really wanted this big mirror wall that I did there in the elevator, which by the way, I think it's so absurd that we have to use a mod to be able to use elevators in regular buildings. So I have Ravishing's mod that I've been using for years to use elevators in other buildings, and it just came to my mind like I can't believe that's a mod. Because I'm pretty sure in the previous Sim games they just gave us the item, right? The functional elevators. And in The Sims 4, of course, they did not. So just the modding community saving the day, as always. But speaking of elevators, I just remembered this. I actually messed up the elevators in this build so much. So I did the elevator in the lobby, and of course the elevator is supposed to go to every level. So when I started doing the planning, like the floor planning, I just completely forgot about the elevators and I did the whole floor planning. I did even like some of the rooms, like completely decorated the rooms above the elevator, and I forgot that I had to have an elevator there. So I think I even show like the bathroom that I did above this elevator, and then I did have to change it to another space. I think, yeah, you can even see that I was kind of starting to work on it right now. But yeah, that bathroom, I am gonna show it on the video because it's the only bathroom that I recorded, and it is unfortunately the best looking bathroom that I did, but I did have to completely remove it and put an elevator there. And I think I did the same mistake in the third floor. Like I started doing an office in the third floor and then I remembered, oh my god, that's the elevator space. So yeah, just kind of a little bit into how my mind works or doesn't work there. It's okay. Everybody makes mistakes, you know, especially when building in The Sims 4. Even though The Sims 4 is definitely the easiest one in the franchise. I mean, it is the easiest one to build on. It is still quite difficult if you're not super used to it. And oh my god, the little picture over there that looks kind of like Audrey Hepburn. I was so sure that I was gonna use it somewhere, which is why I kept moving it around. You're gonna see that a lot in this video. I did not use it even, like it just did not fit the vibes. In my mind, I wanted to add some lore to it, like maybe that's a drawing of one of the, Capp ancestors that was a CEO at some point, and it just did not fit any of the spaces that I made. So yeah, I'm not gonna use it in the end. But I guess the idea was there. Now onto the bathroom that I had to delete. At this moment I am noticing for the very first time that this door from, I think, Spa Day is see-through, and I was so shocked because why would you have a see-through bathroom door? Like, why would you want to see the people inside the bathroom? Even though they have stalls so you're not gonna see the people in the toilet, why would you have a see-through door for a bathroom? Like, it's a vulnerable space. I was just so upset by it. So I think I used this base game one, which just has a little toilet thing, and I don't really do gendered bathrooms, mostly because I think in the end I only had one big bathroom and I didn't want to do like two separate spaces, and I just felt like I don't really need like a gender bathroom in The Sims. Like, I don't know, I just felt like it wasn't necessary, so I only made one bathroom for everyone, and then I think I have one small bathroom upstairs as well, because I didn't really explain how I'm doing this building. So in the first floor, we're gonna have the main open workspace. You guys are gonna see what I mean by open, but it's basically the workspace where we have, most of the desks and kind of, I don't want to say the lower or low employees, but basically that's where you have kind of the main employees, and then we have, the higher employees. By higher and lower, I mean in the corporate hierarchy, we have the higher employees in the third floor in their separate offices. But yeah, in the second floor, I am doing this kind of open space. Right now you can see what I mean. So in the third floor, instead of doing everything closed, I really wanted to have like a big skylight that went from the third to the second floor. And I like that, from the second floor, well, from the third floor, you can look into the second floor and everything that's going on in there and everybody working. I don't know. I don't know if it's a good idea for the employees to kind of be watched all the time, but I just liked it. I think it's a little bit more spacious. And I don't know, I just felt like it was kind of nicer to have less space in the third floor, if you know what I mean. Like, I would just have to make a bunch of rooms that I didn't need and make the build kind of heavier. So in this way, I basically had less space to decorate and fill, and just a little bit of a feature that kind of made the building a little bit different. Right now, I'm also doing a room that I am gonna change. I like to keep this part in this video because I like to explain, like, I did this thing but it didn't work because of this reason. Like, I don't know, I like this kind of thing when I'm watching builds, to see how the builds kind of evolve and change, and the builder's thought process. So in this part, I am doing what would be the kitchen of the office. And I started working on it, and I really liked the space. I like the idea of having this really open space and of people eating while looking out the world. But then I realized, like, you have these really big windows at the front, and then you're gonna close it off, and the people who are working in the middle can't even look at it. Like, they have the windows to the sides, but they don't have the main view of the building. They can only see it when they're eating. Like, I don't know, I just felt like it wasn't as nice to the workers. I know. That's the thought that I had. I just started thinking, like, in real life, I feel like if you have this kind of idea of a big open space, it should be big and open, especially when you have this kind of big feature windows. So I actually made the kitchen to the side, so it did occupy, like, I think two of the windows at the front, but they still had like a big space to look at. Yeah, I think I already did the change here. So I am occupying two of the windows at the front for the kitchen, and then we have three of the windows open to the workers. So we kind of got the best of both worlds there. So you can kind of see it while you're eating, and then you can also see it while you're working. It is a very nice view. I know it's The Sims, and I know a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, but I heard people say they don't like Windenburg, that it's not as pretty. I do think it's very pretty, but it was one of the first neighborhoods, so the aesthetic just wasn't there like it is now. But I do kind of miss sometimes even now. So I think it is pretty good for an early world. And oh my god, my dream is to have a big world like Windenburg again, and I know it's never gonna happen. So I have just a dream for nothing. But anyways, going back to what I'm doing, I was doing the kitchen with this CC set, who I don't remember who it's by. I think it's Alexandre too, or Harry, but I ended up changing to another Harry. Yeah, I ended up changing to another Harry set. I do use a lot of Harry and Alexandre, and I think CC, maybe Pierism or Pierism. I don't remember. I think it's Pierism. And I think Cibulet. I'm so bad at pronouncing things, guys. But yeah, I think these are the main CC creators that I use. But I did use a lot of like solo items from different sets. But I love this kitchen set so much. This kind of wood tones. I think this is one of the few rooms in the whole building where you have another color, which is the wood color, because most of it is really like black, white, and gray. You're gonna see it, but the kitchen, I just thought it was gonna look really nice, and it would add something different to the kind of the build and kind of the color scheme. Not that, you know, wood colors are considered colorful, at least I don't think, but it just breaks off the black and white, I think, quite nicely. And I think in the future, if I were to do like a big renovation, like maybe the caps change, you know, CEOs, change owners, and they decide to do kind of a renovation of the space, I think I would add some more wood tones. Not so much color, but some more wood, because it is very like black and white and glasses and very sleek kind of vibe, which I think ends up looking nice. But yeah, it's just not 100% my decorating style. But I have to say, it is easier to build with black and white and gray than with colors and to make everything match. So I guess it should be my building style. I can get a little crazy with the colors, and then when I look back, I'm like, what did I do in this building? But I don't know, I just think it's nicer, it's more lively. But sometimes, you know, I think the sim aesthetic, like what sim am I making this for? I think that's kind of the number one thing in my mind always, not necessarily what is my preferred taste, which is a funny thing to do. I think even the capp manor is very colorful compared to this. But the capp manor is this kind of old English vibe, so there's a lot of, you know, kind of patterns that are maybe a little bit older, I guess, in style. Not that I know about English architecture, but I just did something in that house that I kind of associated with that aesthetic, the kind of Tudor old aesthetic, you know, with the big fireplaces and the big carpets with patterns and everything. And I had a lot of fun doing that there. But the reason I did that in the manor is because I did a lot of dark woods, like most of the walls are just dark wood, and I just needed color, otherwise it was just too much. And in this building, it is a newer, like, decorated building, and it is kind of a corporate, like cold and corporate. That's kind of the vibe I was going for, and I feel like that's the vibe the caps would have in their workspace, even though their house is a little bit more warm, I think. So yeah, that was kind of my thought process. But it's funny, yeah, the caps aesthetic as a whole, it's not really my preferred aesthetic. I do think I prefer the Monty's aesthetic, even in their house and everything. But I did put a lot more work in the caps right now. I am gonna start working in the Monty's a little bit more. I am still thinking if I should do the Monty restaurant. If you guys would like to see that, please comment below, because I never built a restaurant as a whole before. I did start one like during gameplay, but yeah, I don't even know like how I would start building the Monty restaurant. But I think it could look nice. So that might be a project for the near future. But yeah, in the space, I really liked the idea of having this clock in the eating room, kind of like as a reminder, like, look, this is how much time you have for your lunch before you need to go back in. But I did change just because it looks a little bit empty in this wall. I don't think I placed it anywhere else. I think I did a painting over there instead. Oh my god, and I love this table. This is a buffet table by Sonic and Severinka, I believe. I'm pretty sure it's by them. Yeah, I can see their logo SNS, and it's just so good. You can do like breakfast, lunch, and dessert, I think. And I tested it out and I did, I put the food there and people were eating. They were not eating at the table like I wanted. I'm kidding. Some people did eat at a table. My sim, which was concert cap that I was playtesting, he did not eat at the table. He would walk like to the first floor, like to the lobby. He would walk up. He would sit at an office. He would eat anywhere but the kitchen table. But maybe that's slower. Maybe concert cap doesn't like to eat in the kitchen with everyone else. He's too different and too rich and too bossy to sit with everyone else. So maybe that's a lore that I can add. But yeah, oh, now we're moving on to the workspace, which I tried a lot of tables, a lot of different configurations. You can see now that I was using the glass table, which I loved, but I couldn't have them sit properly because of how the legs of the table are. I think they could maybe sit, but they would clip through the table, and I didn't like that. So I changed to these tables, which I'm pretty sure come from the same set as the floor. So, it is very matchy, but I kind of liked it. I like that maybe they planned the tables to be the same, pattern, the same marble as the floor. I just thought it was a detail that, a big fancy company would do. And yeah, that's what I mean by having the, shared workspace be kind of open. So, you can always see the people working there whenever you come up. You can see them from, upstairs. It's just really nice. It looks really nice while you're playing to have this space. And the Sims do gravitate towards this area a lot because of the computers. Even though we do have computers upstairs as well, they did gravitate towards this area because they kept wanting to chat with each other. So it is a pretty busy area, which is nice. So yeah, now we're moving on to, the clutter in the tables. And I have to say, I tried not to clutter it too much. It is a very clean space in the end. Like, I only have a few items at the tables. And I am saying that like it's a warning because I do download a lot of builds that are, more lived in and cluttered, and I think it's so nice. I love a big, lived in and realistic building, but I find that, my game, I have a pretty, decent computer, not, a super machine, so I do find it, nicer to have not so much clutter in my buildings, that they work better. And I can always add stuff as I go. Oh, and I forgot to mention even that I did this reception table. I didn't really record it or anything, but yeah, it is kind of a reception area. And the second floor, I don't think I did a reception in the third floor because my idea is that you kind of have to go through the second floor to be able to go up to the third floor where you have, the CEO and the president. I forgot what you call this type of employees, like, the directors and the CEOs and everything. I'm sure there's a name for it. But yeah, the higher employees. But anyways, I think this table, well, this PC setup is the only one that I kind of did something a little bit more elaborate, I guess. I just found these post-it notes. I think they are by Around the Sims 4, yeah, if I can read that correctly. And I just thought it was so cute to have the post-it notes on the computer. I'm not really a post-it girly, but I know a lot of people that are, and they have these post-its on their PCs and stuff. And I just kind of started making some headcanons about the person that works there. Like, they have this cute little pencil holder with a fridge bunny, I guess. So yeah, I just kind of started making headcanons about the employees that I didn't even choose yet necessarily. I do have a few Sims in my lore that are going to work for the Cap Enterprise, I guess. But oh yeah, it's talking about the name. It's not gonna be named Cap Inc. I'm not 100% sure on the name that I chose, but I changed it from Cap Inc. It's just not easy to say like Cap Inc. I don't know. It just sounds weird to me. But yeah, I actually have a few of the employees. I have a few of like the managers. I guess more so like vice presidents and stuff. I already have those characters very set in my mind, especially because it is a family business, so a lot of the family members should work in the company. But I do have some other sims that I added over there, but not so many of the employees that would be downstairs. Only a few like NPCs that I chose. But now we're finally moving on to the third and final office floor. We do have a terrace upstairs, but I didn't record me decorating it and I didn't put that much stuff in it. I think I only put some plants and a sitting spot. I imagine the terrace is more like, just an open space to get some air, maybe a smoking area. I do have a few smokers in this building. I do play with mental drugs. I don't condone smoking, but it is just realistic. I think to have business people smoking, it is quite a stressful job, I guess. But yeah, now we're doing the third floor where we have, the bigger main offices. Right now, I'm just doing the landing area, which I imagine would be a waiting area for people to be called into the offices, or even a resting area for the managers and the presidents and everything. And I mean, I don't know if you can tell really, but I did make this area a bit more, a bit darker, I guess. I think the second floor is a bit more grayish, and in this floor, I used a lot more black colors because I don't know, I just feel like this area, you have the president and you have the CEO and everything. I feel like this is the area where a lot of shady stuff comes about. A lot of shady business decisions, a lot of shady deals. So I just felt like it should be darker and a bit, eviler. I don't know why I'm acting like black and white and gray is evil, but in like a business corporate context, this aesthetic just gives me evil lair. I don't know why. It is The Sims. If you have a business that looks like this, I'm not saying it is an evil business, but in The Sims, I just feel like I really wanted to kind of showcase that this is somewhat of a shady place. The Capps are shady, okay? The Monties are shady as well. The whole of Veronaville is a bit shady. Not shady, shady. I just got myself confused there. Yeah, I meant shady as in shade. But yeah, it looks like, an office that you will see in a movie for a very evil person. I don't know. I don't like to say they're evil because I love the Caps. And I don't know if I want to say I love an evil sim. It is a sim. And I do love evil sims sometimes because they are sims. Their character is not, real people, so you can like a villain, I guess. And the good thing about Veronaville is that most of the characters are supposed to be villains, so you don't really feel bad for liking a villainous character because they are kind of all being terrible to each other. So yeah. But not everyone. I do have a few, innocent sims, a few heroes in my headcanon and in my storylines. I am actually getting quite excited to play. Every time I start building for Veronaville, I can't wait until I actually start playing. And I definitely could start playing. Like, I didn't need to have all the buildings ready in order to start playing. This is actually something that I've learned after doing so many save files. It's just that, just play the game. Like, you don't need to have everything perfect and everything set up in order to press play. But I don't know, with Veronaville, I am kind of hesitant I mean, I just feel like I want everything to look and feel a certain way, and it does take a lot of work to me to, have everything done. But anyways, this is not a veronaville video, this is a build video. Well, it is kind of more of a veronaville video at this point with everything that I talked about. But you could definitely use this office, I think, for other reasons. I might use it in other save files that have no veronaville sims, just because it is useful having an office, I think, for storytelling. Really, I have a lot of like famous sims, celebrity sims, lawyers, and anyone who can use an office. So I guess, yeah, it is going to be useful to me to have this. I have been looking for like the perfect office for a really long time now, and I'm not saying this is perfect, but it is good for me and for the purposes that I have. Also, just an FYI, I did not record the second office that I have right there. Spoiler alert, if you are interested in veronaville, that is probably going to be Gonerill's office, the one that I did not record. It's right next to the main office, which is this one that I am recording in. It is right now Consort Capp's office, but yeah, that bigger office is supposed to be the CEO office, and then we have like maybe a president office, and then we have a third office which is shared, and I do have some gameplay ideas for who's sharing that office. But yeah, I think I'm gonna have Gonerill next to Consort in the kind of second office over there. And anyways, what I was saying was that I did not record it because it looks pretty much the same as the other office, so only the bookshelf is different. So yeah, kind of redundant to record both. But this office, because it is the bigger office, I did want to show. Honestly, this was the only time during this build that I wish I had made the third floor bigger, just because I feel like Consort would have a really big, obnoxious office, like a really big space that he doesn't really need, like with a sitting space and more tables and everything. Kind of like Logan Roy's office in Succession. It is a pretty big office. They have a lot of meetings there with a bunch of people, so I could kind of see that for a Consort as well. But I decided to, oh my god, my screen just glitched out like crazy because of the ADOF future. But yeah, anyways, I decided to keep the size and everything because I did not want to change the floor plan. And honestly, he doesn't need it. He doesn't need a huge office. He has a home office, and he's probably gonna work a lot more at his home office anyway. So yeah, this is good enough for him. It is the biggest office anyone has in this building. It is, gonna be less taxing on my computer, which is great. So I am satisfied with the size right now. I was thinking of switching this office with the room next doors, which is the meeting room, but I ended up not doing that because the meeting room is gonna have more sims anyway, and the routing is gonna be more difficult. So yeah, they should have more space, even though I'm not even sure if this room, the meeting room, is bigger in size. But yeah, this is the last kind of few parts of the video. I'm gonna end up here. I did change this meeting room actually, now that I'm looking at it quite a lot. So yeah, if you want, you can stick around to the little outro and the small tour that I'm gonna do. But thank you so much for watching anyways, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.